Viditron, in cooperation with the Sony Corporation of America, is pleased to present Video Creativity.
Every morning opens up a brand new day full of possibilities. What a life. It's all right there waiting for you. All you have to do is reach out and grab it.
It's 7:30, a beautiful morning. Nothing but sunshine and great music ahead of us, so stay tuned.
You don't have to miss a thing. Your new Sony Video 8 camcorder is so compact and versatile, you can take it anywhere. You can keep it close at hand to capture those special moments you want to keep forever. Don't just watch life pass you by. Your life is what you make it. So don't contemplate it. Video 8 it. You'll be amazed.
Do you want to hear a story?
Yeah!
I can't hear you.
Yeah!
Okay, you got it. Once upon a time. No. Longer ago than that. Twice upon a time.
There is nothing like a good story. There have been storytellers, and those more than willing to be captivated by a good yarn well spun for just about as long as there's been imagination. Once upon a time, the teller of tales had only words and gestures with which to call the magic into being. Today, Sony's Video 8 camcorder makes it possible to take the art of storytelling into an entirely new dimension. What remains the same is that you have to want to share your imagination, and you have to open yourself to all the stories around you waiting to be told. Your camcorder is the key. The purpose of this program is to encourage you to take your productions one step beyond by injecting your stories with video creativity. We've used production techniques in this video that you can easily recreate with your camcorder. Let's take a look at some of the possibilities. The world is going to offer you 1,000,001 things to shoot. What you're going to have to learn is how to gain enough control of your situation to let the story tell itself. With spontaneous action going on all around, you're forced to catch what you can as best you can. Like this news cameraman, you'll have to bring order to a chaotic situation if you're going to get the story. Your first job must be to establish a center of attention to which all the other actions can be related. This person or situation, like the hub of a wheel, will organize the scene and give you a focus for your story. In a less frenzied but equally uncontrolled situation, you again establish your own control by determining where the focus of attention should be first, and then proceed to tell your story from that point of view. You can't get everything, so key into what's most important. Planning and forethought gives you the creative edge. When you know where the action will take place, be sure you're in the right place to get the right shot. Your camcorder will let you swing into action at a moment's notice. Pre-planning gives you the control you need to set your imagination free. Let's take a look at an event you might find yourself wanting to shoot and see what more we can learn about camcorder creativity. Let's call this story The Big Game. From a storyteller's point of view, you should choose yourself a focus for the action. A hero. Ta-da! A star is born. How will this hero win the day? Well, that's where your creativity and sense for storytelling comes in. First, get some establishing shots. Tell your audience where they are by shooting the preparation for an event or its location. Next, be sure your audience knows who the story's going to be about. What a kid. And then set the dramatic context. Remember, your camcorder has excellent sound capabilities, so give your characters a voice. While the story unfolds, let's look at a few more techniques that will help your production. Camera position is important if you're going to capture the action. Position your camcorder to take full advantage of the light, your subject, and the action. Don't forget about reaction shots. Capturing the right expression at the right time can speak volumes. Of course, you'll want to change your camera position every once in a while. Just remember, you can also get a lot of variety with a quick pan. Now, that's what I call a camcorder story. All it needs is a post-game interview.
Reggie Jackson, eat your heart out.
Obviously, this story could not have been shot from a single camera position, but using simple techniques and effectively editing, you can learn to shoot with the best of them. Don't think for a moment that your Video 8 storytelling has to mirror reality. You can have a lot of fun manipulating events to suit your own purposes. For instance, you can turn a simple round of golf into a comic adventure. By taping a regular round and by editing in a few pre-arranged setup shots, you can create a masterpiece. As a storyteller, set up a comic conflict. Be certain your story goes somewhere. To work, it's going to have a good resolution and possibly a big finish. This kind of storytelling is perfectly within your grasp with your Video 8 camcorder. Your story doesn't need to be complicated. For instance, a headache might be the start of a story. Once you've established your premise, the problem your hero has to overcome, be creative. Let your imagination loose by devising progressively more bizarre and more desperate strategies for getting into the bottle. worry about exaggeration. One of the secrets of comedy is to push ordinary events just a tad beyond reality and rationality. But make sure your story has an ending. After all, every joke needs a punchline. Have camcorder will travel.
Can you make me a low-cal strawberry milkshake, please? Thank you.
You don't have to limit yourself to a single location. Let's say your idea is to follow a milkshake being passed from person to person. Well, once the glass begins its journey, the people passing it from the camera's point of view could be anywhere. The milkshake just goes out of frame to be passed on by anyone you wish. If it happens to get sampled along the way, who's to know? You can use people on the street. You can use costumes. As the director, you can even determine what direction the milkshake is passed in. The trick is to keep the continuity consistent so everything will edit together. You can be as creative as the connections you choose to make. Your story can be as long as you wish, but remember to give it an ending.
Yeah, this looks like a low-cal shake to me.
Magic is the art of making the impossible at least appear actual. It doesn't have to be just sleight of hand. It can be sleight of camcorder, too. Your video aid can let you bend the laws of physics. For instance, you can defy gravity. Let's face it, magic is seldom on the up and up. As far as horizons go, they can go in any direction you want. With your camcorder, it's just a twist of the wrist. And time and space? Child's play. It's frankly amazing what a little in-camera editing can do.
All right.
With a little imagination, your camcorder can open up a whole world of fantasy. Next Halloween, instead of the same trick-or-treat shots, why not create a fantasy transformation? Set up a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde scenario with one of your children. Then, using makeup supplies you can get from a local joke shop, videoate the progressive stages of transfiguration. Sequenced so they cut together, the shots create a fantastic effect.
That looks great, Jennifer.
To be truly creative, you'll want to get into editing your own camcorder productions. Editing makes videoating a director's medium. Take, for example, this man, relaxing, thinking to himself. We edit in a shot of a small child. Then, cut back to the man smiling. As a director, you've told your audience that this man is a loving father. Now, let's take the same man, but this time, substitute something less homey for the baby. Cutting back to the smile, without your actor having done anything, you as a director have changed him into something very different. That's what editing's all about. Controlling everything that your audience sees and hears. The rest is just imagination. Editing we can do, you can do better, with a little practice. So, what is the key to creativity? Well, Creativity isn't something we can easily define for you. But if you think back to how you learned as a child, you'll be very close to unlocking your own creativity. To quote a line from a poem by E.E. Cummings, "The children guessed, but only a few, and down they forgot as up they grew." Sometimes we need to take a step back to find those positive qualities of childhood: energy, curiosity, optimism, and resiliency. Be creative. Try new things, new ways, and make sure that you enjoy the process of being creative. So keep your camcorder handy. Start to see the world through its viewfinder, and a world of possibilities will come into focus. All you need to exercise your imagination is to be creative. So don't just contemplate it, video-ate it. Do it today.
The Sony Corporation, in cooperation with Viditron, is pleased to present Home Video, Shoot Like a Pro. This program will help you make full use of your video camera and VCR, enabling you to produce memorable and entertaining programs time after time.
Your video camera and VCR can provide you and your family with hours of enjoyment. Those special occasions can become a historical record for later viewing, not only by your own family, but also by relatives located in another city far away.
Video has become much more than a series of wires, relays, and transistors. It has become a form of expression whose only limitations are those of our imagination. Video is truly a unique means by which we can express ourselves.
Video had its beginnings back in the late 1930s. At first, the equipment involved to make video pictures was cumbersome and anything but portable. On top of this, it was only in black and white.
Into the 50s, we saw television grow enormously. The black and white TV set became a common household appliance.
The 1960s saw the introduction of color. It also saw the introduction of helical scan recording, a system that was not only more economical to manufacture than the big commercial recording systems, but smaller and more compact.
1970 saw the introduction of the video cassette recorder and the single-tube color camera, and the home market became a reality. Now, with the introduction of affordable, easy-to-use color video, anyone can enjoy a new opportunity offered for creativity in the exciting field of video recording. Hello, and welcome to a whole new world of shooting home video.
I'm Nadine Briget.
And I'm Terry Moore.
The purpose of this program is to help you understand how to use your home video camera and your VCR in order that you may take professional video with confidence, time after time.
And regardless of the model of camera or VCR that you have or are considering, the key to any good video production is technique. And, of course, a good basic plan on how to develop that production.
But remember, it's you, the producer, who is the most important element in any successful production. We'll break our program down into 5 basic areas, which will assist you in turning your shooting into professional-looking video.
Camera and VCR operation.
Sound advice, how to record good audio.
Good lighting and how to achieve it.
Composition, deliberately framing our subjects.
And how to put it all together in a story, the art of continuity.
There are a variety of cameras and VCRs available. Some even have the VCR built right into the camera. You may find one model preferable over another. However, regardless of the model you choose, the basic operational principles are the same, and that's our primary concern. So with that in mind, let's begin with equipment operation and care.
In order to gain the confidence that you'll need to feel comfortable with your equipment, you must have a basic idea of how it operates. After viewing our first chapter, you will be able to 1. Understand how your camera works, 2. Operate the basic camera features, and 3. Protect your equipment to ensure years of enjoyment.
The actual hookup of the camera and VCR will vary slightly depending on the make and model. A handy reference is, of course, the owner's manual, so check to see what it says about your unit. However, you will probably find that the connection of the VCR and camera is accomplished by simply connecting one cable. Once the cable is attached, the camera picture and the sound from the camera's built-in microphone will be fed to your VCR. It is then a simple matter of inserting the tape cassette, engaging the record and play switches, and you're ready to shoot. In order to feel more comfortable with your camera, it's helpful to have a basic understanding of how it operates.
Now, the main purpose of the video camera is to change light energy into electronic pulses, which can be recorded by your VCR.
The light reflected from an object enters the camera lens and is focused on the image target of the camera tube.
This surface is then scanned electronically, and the image is transformed into electronic pulses.
Most cameras will have a number of built-in features, such as
an automatic white balance control,
an automatic iris control,
the zoom lens,
a built-in microphone,
a remote VCR start and stop switch,
an electronic viewfinder,
and with some models, a fade to black control.
Let's examine these features to see how you can make the best of them and to ensure yourself professional-looking results.
The first feature is the automatic white balance, a feature that lets your camera adjust whites to look white. White balance is achieved simply by pointing your camera at the white surface located in the light that you will be using to shoot. Make sure that the white color fills the frame, then push the white balance switch. Your camera automatically adjusts to give you white whites and allows all other colors to fall into their respective places. It's a good idea to keep a piece of white card in your camera case so you'll be able to handle any new lighting condition that you might encounter. When you change from one light source to another, such as from inside to outside, you will find that it will be necessary to white balance for the new light situation.
Next is the automatic iris control. Operating in the same way as the pupil of your eye, the iris opens wide in a dimly lit situation and closes down as the light gets brighter. This action keeps the amount of light falling on the camera tube constant. The auto iris can be fooled because it measures the overall amount of light. However, heavily backlit scenes will leave your subjects in harsh shadows. In order to compensate for such a condition, you manually open your iris. This will increase the light level on your subject. The iris itself can also be used to begin and end a scene. For example, by setting the scene you wish to record, proceed to close the iris down. Now, by manually opening the iris, a fade up from nothing or black will result. The same technique can be used to end a scene. Simply close the lens all the way down, and the picture will fade away to nothing.
The zoom lens allows you to vary your shots without having to change the location of your camera or subject and without changing lenses. It can give you a long shot, a medium shot, and a close-up, or for that matter, anything in between. To use the lens, zoom all the way in on your subject, then adjust the focus control on the lens to bring the subject into sharp focus or clarity. Once this is done, your picture will be crisp and clear throughout the entire range of the zoom, from close-up to long shot.
Our next feature is the built-in microphone. When no other mics are used, your VCR will automatically record from this mic. It is most useful in general shooting applications, providing good background sound for your shooting.
Our next feature is the stop-start switch. This switch on your camera allows you to be very selective about the shots you record. Pushing the switch once activates the VCR tape transport to move the tape, which starts the recording. Pushing it again stops the tape, and consequently, the recording stops. Once your VCR has been placed in the record mode, this switch will control the VCR.
The electronic viewfinder is actually a miniature TV set. What you see in the viewfinder will be exactly what your VCR will record. One very handy feature of the viewfinder is the ability to play back what you have already recorded. Simply rewind the VCR, place it in the play mode, and the picture will appear in the camera viewfinder.
This is the new Sony CCD camera, the latest development in camera technology. The same technology used by the chase plane to monitor the landing of the space shuttle. By using this 10-pin connector, this and other Sony cameras will be compatible with a wide variety of VCRs.
There is one other small but very important feature that could be very valuable to you. It's located here on the bottom of the camera. It's called the tripod mounting plate. And the use of a tripod can make the difference between shaky shots and smooth, professional-looking ones.
Or when it's not practical to use a tripod, a variety of other supports can be used to steady your shots. If you simply can't find anything to rest your camera on, then use your shoulder. Hold the grip firmly and add support with the side of your head. Make sure that you are in a comfortable standing position with your feet firmly planted on the ground. You have invested a lot of money in your video equipment, so why not protect it? By observing the following rules, you'll be able to look forward to many, many years of reliable operation. Smile.
Be extremely careful of where you place your equipment. Don't place it on the ground without proper protection. Keep equipment away from sand, dirt, and water.
Don't leave your equipment in a car during hot spells. The temperature inside a vehicle can rise to a point that will damage both your equipment and video cassettes. Never point your camera at a very bright object such as the sun. The result will be a permanent burn of the object in the camera tube.
However, the Sony CCD camera is tubeless and can be pointed directly at the sun without risking any damage.
Purchase a good case for your camera that will allow it to be stored in a horizontal position. It's a good idea to keep a lens cap on the camera whenever you're not shooting.
Now you should be familiar with camera and VCR operation, camera features, and equipment care. Knowing these 3 points will pay off in years of dependable service.
The versatility of the video camera has opened up a
Whole new world of communication.
Hold it. Wait a minute. What's going on here?
Equally important to the pictures in your production is the sound.
That's true. Incorrect sound can and most definitely will turn credibility into chaos. In an effective production, the sound and the pictures are a perfect complement of each other. Recording good sound with your pictures isn't that difficult if you follow the basic rules. So let's begin our next chapter sound advice.
Good television production requires having the appropriate sound to complement your video pictures. In our second chapter, you'll learn 1, the basic theory of sound, 2, microphone types, and 3, microphone techniques.
Sound is all around us.
All of these sounds have one thing in common. Each is caused when something moves back and forth in quivering motions called vibrations. These vibrations travel in a straight line until they hit something and then bounce back from it.
As vibrations leave the source, they travel outwards, like these ripples, gradually dissipating and disappearing.
When two sound sources are present, the loudest, creating the largest ripples, will tend to drown out the quieter ones.
The ripples travel through the air, vibrating the diaphragm on the microphone at the same rate as the object that created the sound.
There are two types of microphones that you will be concerned with, unidirectional and omnidirectional. The pickup pattern of the unidirectional mic is approximately 80 degrees, or 40 degrees from each side of center. The unidirectional is the type used on your camera and is ideal for most applications where background sound is not too loud. The omnidirectional mic has a pickup pattern of 360 degrees, resulting in sound being picked up equally in all directions. These are usually clip-on mics that can be placed physically close to the source of the sound. Whenever possible, use the same microphone throughout a program. This will maintain the consistent sound that is so important to your production.
No matter which of these mics you use, it's important that you remember to place it as close to your sound source as possible. Should you be too far away, the background sound will dominate. Or if you shift the microphone away from the sound source, then the sound will just disappear. The Omni microphone, due to its closeness to the subject, will reduce background noises. It will also allow the camera to be placed a good distance away from the subject while still maintaining a good sound pickup. It's also ideal for maintaining consistent sound throughout, no matter what the distance from the camera.
But be careful when you use a clip-on mic that it does not rub against material or is placed where it may be hit by chains and necklaces.
Capturing the right sound is truly an art unto itself. But by applying the principles that we have already outlined, you will enjoy good sound on all of your productions.
Now you're ready to record good sound in any shooting situation. You have an understanding of the basic theory of sound, microphone types, and techniques.
Width. Height.
It is these two elements that make up our picture.
The third element desirable in any picture is depth. But due to the limited two-dimensional shape of the TV set, depth must be introduced through illusion.
One of the most effective methods of creating this illusion of depth is through lighting, and that's what our next chapter is all about.
Light is the essence of video. After viewing Chapter 3, you'll know 1, how to handle a variety of lighting situations, 2, the difference between hard and soft light, 3, how to set up three-point lighting, And 4, when to use a reflector board and the advantages of using bounce lighting. All of which you'll use to make your subjects appear natural on the screen.
There are two main types of light you will be faced with. Understanding them will help you use them most effectively.
The first is hard light, often called direct light. It's the light that comes mainly from one single source. The best example of this is the sun, providing light from a single direction, leaving a combination of bright and shadowed areas.
The other form of light is also provided to us by nature, at least outside, simply by filtering the strong sun rays through clouds. The effect is a soft light, with little or no shadows, which seems to come equally from all directions. Hard light,
soft or diffused light.
Our eyes are able to respond to a greater range of light level than our video camera. As a result, appropriate lighting is more critical to your camera than to your eye.
Indoors particularly, the existing light level is often not enough to provide clear, crisp pictures. The camera is left straining to reproduce a picture, resulting in an effect similar to excessive grain in a still photograph. Other situations, such as strong light coming in a window, can leave areas very dark in comparison. The resulting picture is very harsh.
The solution to both situations came in the form of video lights. A lighting kit is not that expensive and will prove to be an invaluable asset to your productions. A good kit will come with 3 lights, each equipped with a telescoping stand, allowing you to vary the height. It is helpful to get these flaps with each light. They are called barn doors and will allow you to control the amount of light in different parts of your picture.
Depending upon the situation and the effect that you are after, you will be concerned with 2 lighting techniques, indirect and direct. First, let's deal with the direct method.
The simplest complete lighting setup is an arrangement often referred to as 3-point lighting.
The main light is placed either to the right or left of the camera. The second is placed on the other side of the camera. And the third is placed behind the subject. Let's look at these lights and their positioning individually. The first light, the key light, is the single most important light.
Well, Terry, I didn't know you were here.
I didn't know you were here either.
I'm the one who's operating the lights.
You show up in the funniest of places. It's the one that will draw the viewer's attention to it. This light is placed pointing down at a 45-degree angle. The further it is moved away from the camera, the more exaggerated the shadow effect or modeling will become. The second most important light is the fill light. This light is of much less intensity, designed to fill in the shadows left by the key light. The backlight is placed as directly behind the subject as possible. Often, it will have to be placed off to one side to ensure that neither the stand or the light appears in the picture. The main purpose of the backlight is to separate your key subject from the background. This is accomplished by highlighting the shoulders and the top of the head. The intensity of this light is the same as the fill light. This light is very instrumental in creating the 3D look. Key light, fill light, backlight. Okay, guys, no lights. Lighting can also be used to create some very dramatic effects. So have some fun, experiment, and see what happens. Can I ask what you're doing?
I'm just making a few improvements around here.
Are you suggesting we need improvements?
I think you look definitely better.
Oh,
definitely.
Thanks a lot. Dramatic effects.
The principles of hard or direct lighting apply out of doors as well. The sun makes a natural key light. Fill light can be introduced using a reflector board. This is a flat, white surface that will reflect a portion of the sun's rays again for the purpose of filling shadows. The other side of the board can be covered with tin foil for providing a stronger reflection of sunlight.
The other form of light, indirect or soft light, can be achieved indoors by bouncing light off a white surface such as the ceiling or wall. Bounce lighting is a very effective method for adding that little extra bit of light needed for a good picture without producing harsh shadows.
Certainly not every indoor situation will require light. Look around and see what light is available. With a little forethought, you can often make it easy on yourself by positioning your subject in a place where there is appropriate available light.
If you are going to shoot outdoors, try positioning yourself and your camera between the sun and the action. Shooting from another position may create harsh shadows.
Good sound and good lighting, two keys in creating believable productions.
Again, practice makes perfect. Don't be afraid to experiment.
So now you know how to handle various lighting situations, including both hard and soft light, achieving three-point lighting, using a reflector board and bounce lighting to get the right effect.
Classic picture postcard shots. Not very difficult to capture when you apply the rules of composition to your shooting. And that's what our next chapter is all about.
You'll be in a much better position to direct your audience's attention once you understand the principles of composition. In Chapter 4, we look at some guidelines that'll help you compose your pictures in a way that will maximize the interest of your audience. You'll learn how to make use of simplicity, balance, lines, camera angles, and focus shifting, all of which will assist you in drawing direct attention to a specific subject on the screen.
When we compile a picture, we deliberately frame and position subjects to create an artistically appropriate effect. We aim to direct attention and to develop a particular audience reaction.
How your subjects are displayed has an important influence on how effectively your ideas are portrayed to your audience.
There are two basic rules to good composition. One, simplicity, and two, balance. Simplicity means just that. Think about your subject in relation to the setting it's being photographed in.
The size of objects and the amount of movement will often determine how distracting your background will be. For example, it's quite natural for your eye to be drawn to all of the activity that's behind me. However, by simply making the objects smaller, their dominance is lessened, and what were big movements become smaller ones. The atmosphere is maintained, but now your focus is on me. For example, look at this situation again. In this shot, there is background clutter, but a simple re-aiming of the camera results in a much cleaner background, and then move your subject into your new shot. Not only the busyness of the background should be considered, but also the background elements. Consider their placement relative to your subject. Such things as objects appearing to grow out of a person's head will only distract your viewers from what it is that you're trying to convey, and your audience will end up wondering what's the matter with your subject. Again, a slight movement of the subject or camera will shift the background enough to change it from being distracting to one that is pleasing to the viewer.
Horizontal lines create a feeling of rest and peacefulness. On the other hand, vertical lines create a feeling of dignity and grandeur.
Another form of line that can be used to enhance your shooting is known as the leading line. These are lines that draw your attention to a specific part of the picture. In this example, this railing directs your eyes to me. Leading lines can be found all around us, and they can be very effective in adding another dimension to your shooting. It will help you control what you want your viewer to look at. Generally, the line should start at the edges of the frame and lead to the object to be emphasized. The lines themselves will become smaller in width the closer that they get to the subject.
In order to make use of all the elements of lines, the framing of each shot becomes a key element. Where should your subject be placed in the frame in order to make your picture a good one? Most people will say the middle, and they are very close to being correct. But unfortunately, almost correct may cost you a truly superb shot.
We've learned from observing nature that the dividing of an object approximately into thirds is psychologically very pleasing to the eye. The great masters like Michelangelo recognized this as they proportioned their works. So did the people that designed your credit cards, using a ratio of 1:3. Professional photographers have helped us to make practical use of this rule of thirds by dividing our screen into thirds. First, horizontally, and then vertically. By placing your subjects at the intersecting line of the grid rather than dead center, you create a much more pleasant effect for your viewers.
So which side of center should you choose? The idea of a balanced picture should be the consideration here. Slight movements of either camera or subject can be generally the solution.
The balance in this shot is determined by the direction in which the key subjects are moving. Try to have your subjects moving and facing toward the center of the frame rather than away from center. By adding angles to your shooting, you can give a number of different moods and effects. For example, if you place the camera low and look up at me, the effect is one of dominance and power. On the other hand, should you place the camera high, looking down, the mood changes, reducing the impact and the importance of the subject.
Well, now I finally got you where I want you. Now, about that dinner.
Well, in this position, what can I say?
The natural inclination when shooting something is to shoot head-on. You may find, however, a more pleasing look can be obtained by shooting the same object on an angle. The move to reveal the side of the object adds depth, allowing the viewer to get a better idea of what the object really looks like.
There's an artistic trick that can be used to direct the viewer's attention from one object in the frame to another. It's called focus shifting. This type of shot works best when the focus difference between the two objects is great enough to obliterate the identity of the out-of-focus subject.
Well, up to now, we've been talking about situations that you have control over. But once again, what about those that you can't control? The main point here is to begin with a well-framed shot and end with one. Make the start of your shot steady and long enough for the viewer to identify with it. Let the action carry itself, and then hold the shot at the end. Don't cut it off short. You now have a number of techniques at your disposal. With practice, you will find that the mastering of these elements will come quite quickly.
Remember, as the producer, your primary concern is audience interest. You now know how to use simplicity, balance, background, lines, camera angles, and focus shifting to assist you in directing your audience's attention to your subject.
Now we must sequence our shots so they tell a story, and that's the art of continuity, which is our next chapter.
To keep the action flowing smoothly throughout your presentation, you must give some thought to continuity. In Chapter 5, you'll learn the ways that you, the director, can provide your audience with a new way of seeing the world. You'll understand, 1, how the director tells his story by the way he selects his shots. 2, techniques for emphasizing the impact of a situation. And 3, ways that camera movements can be used to create the feeling of being there.
Continuity is the art of putting shots together into logical sequences, and sequences together into a story.
You are the director, and as such, your first responsibility is to your audience. And as with all storytellers, losing your audience is the worst mistake you can make.
Remember, your audience is probably seeing this for the first time.
This doesn't mean that your story has to be complicated. In fact, some of the simplest storylines are the best. Try to think of your story as a book with shots being equal to paragraphs, which are put together to form sequences or chapters, and then those are put together to form the complete story.
Our story should have a beginning,
A middle or body,
and an end or summary.
Each sequence that you shoot should have some basic elements in it that will make it easy for the viewer to understand the situation. This will enable them to follow the story easily.
The first of these elements is the establishing of the scene by the use of a long shot that will show the setting and the main players. Next, the medium shot, a shot that brings the situation closer to the viewer, actually isolating it from other action that may be going on around it. And finally, the close-up, most certainly the most expressive of the three shots.
moving the camera from side to side is known as panning. Moving up and down is known as tilting. Both are essential actions in making a videotape production. The first rule is to make sure that your camera motion is smooth and not too fast. The pan should take enough time to allow the viewer to study the objects and observe the impact of the scene. Trucking is when the camera is actually moving laterally along the side of the subject. Dollying is like zooming, however, notice the difference. In a zoom shot, it will appear as though the background is coming towards you, while a dolly shot will appear as if you are moving toward the background. Try them both and observe the difference in perspective between zooming and dollying.
There are two other types of shots you should be concerned with. They are the cut-in and the cutaway. A brief cutaway to see reaction and then return to the action will be valuable in reinforcing your story. The cut-in is usually an extreme close-up of a very specific action and is introduced in the middle of the action. Normal action, cut-in, normal action.
Let's take these elements now and decide upon a storyline. Well, now we've covered equipment operation and care, the principles of lighting and sound, and the art of continuity and composition.
And all of these elements must be planned and properly executed if your videotape production is going to have the professional quality for which we all strive.
You know, Terry, this has been a lot of fun, and I've learned a great deal.
I have too, Nadine. And we hope that you enjoy shooting your home video as much as we've enjoyed making this program.
Good luck.
The Sony Corporation, in cooperation with Viditron, has been pleased to present Home Video, Shoot Like a Pro. We're confident that this program will help you make full use of your video camera and VCR, enabling you to produce memorable and entertaining programs time after time.